Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 186, which is called How You Use It. So, as expected, this episode did cover the entire fight with Ao. And in terms of what it adapted, it did adapt the majority of 2 full chapters from the manga from volume 6 here. So that was really cool, and we ended with the reintroduction, I suppose, the introduction to a lot of our other characters of Kash and Koji, with him summoning a toad in, which is a very interesting point, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see what actually shows up here. It's obviously a big toad, but the steam toad specifically, I don't believe we've actually seen before in Naruto up to this point, so you don't know for sure until we actually get to see what it is. But Kashin Koji has summoned the Steam Toad over Ao and Boruto, and that's where we end the episode. So, overall, the adaptation I thought was pretty good, because in a fight scene like this, they obviously blow through the manga content quite quickly, because the manga doesn't show every single movement, so they have to add in a little bit extra. And they went really high quality with the animation here. Even a lot of just the setup stuff before we even got to the big points in the fight, of getting to see, say, the rest of the team fight Ao as well. They did a great job at just having a little one-on-one sequence between, here's Mitsuki's attempt, here's Konohamaru's attempt, here's Sarada coming in for a little bit of a taijutsu sequence. And they all looked really cool as like she fought upside down and kind of did this like acrobatic throw in the air. They were all like really cool. In addition to just, when they're typically doing a high quality animation episode, when they really go heavy with the jutsu. And so, lightning style, fire style, like all over the place. 3 characters using it over and over again. They're constantly doing the effect for the jutsu absorption and so on. That adds to the episode and really makes it seem like this is a big fight, that they know that now that Ao has this ability to block any jutsu, they really have to keep him occupied with that. They have to make sure they distract him so Boruto can get a chance to strike, because they've decided Boruto is going to be the sort of finisher in the fight. And in that sense, like you can see in terms of the adaptation, that the section of the fight where they are just Konohamaru, Mitsuki, and Sarada are throwing jutsu at him like over and over again. That's a very sort of heavily extended part of the anime compared to how long that scene is in the manga. But it builds up to obviously Boruto's arrival, trying to finish the job with the sort of lightsaber, beam saber, whatever way you want to call it. But Ao, of course, is able to block it because the thing he killed Mugino with is also sort of similar to that in some way. So he's able to block it, a cool like lightsaber block type thing. So that was really cool to see. But we do get Ao versus Boruto, and just again, this is where the sort of talking between the characters starts. And in this sense, this is what this whole arc has been about. What is the difference between a shinobi versus someone who's not a shinobi anymore but was in the past and has come to use ninja tools as the thing that gives him purpose, allows him to continue to fight, versus Boruto, who is a shinobi now and is committed to that completely, has grown, has gone through this arc of disliking ninja tools because he cheated with them, to now coming to utilize them himself. And kind of wanting to prove a point here to Ao of, you should still be a shinobi as well. Why not use both? Try. Don't just rely on the tech stuff. So a real point-proving fight here. And I thought that worked really well. It works in the manga and it worked here just as well. Seeing them both fight, each having one of the jutsu absorption devices. But Boruto is using jutsu as his offense otherwise, because obviously the way the lightsaber ends up getting used is that it's quickly disarmed from Boruto, and then Ao picks it up because it's like, oh, another powerful ninja tool that I've never seen before. I'll use this, so he destroys Boruto's shadow clone with it, But this is part of the plan. They lock his hand around the saber. Mitsuki does as well. So he drains himself completely of his chakra. Because again, chakra is not just for jutsu. It's also just like the body's energy, basically, in Naruto. So he is going to be just by default weaker because he's being drained by this. So a really cool way to sort of put Ao on the level where Boruto can actually take him on. And obviously after this we get the idea of like, how do we get rid of the jutsu absorption glove? And Boruto has one as well. So Boruto, the episode's called How You Use It. Ao, as a ninja tool user, should be the one who knows how to use everything really well, but Boruto's, of course, clever tactics, which he uses with his jutsu, he's now utilizing with ninja tools. So he absorbs, like, he basically has the two jutsu absorbing gloves absorb the absorption sphere, and so his other hand is free to deliver a Rasengan to the glove on Ao to take that out. That's a nice kind of sequence. It was really cool the way they adapted it here, and just, clever tactics throughout this completely. But it's at this point, I think this is roughly when the mirror drones come in, a kind of surprise thing. This is how Konohamaru gets taken out, and even in the manga, this is probably the point where maybe the writing maybe doesn't hold up as well, and that is them having to take Konohamaru out by having him sort of seemingly be the only one to spot these mirror drones coming in and save Boruto, so he's knocked out until conveniently he needs to get back up. And Mitsuki and Sarada also decide to not participate in the fight because they can't deal with the mirror drones for some reason, but Boruto can. That's about the only, I think, real problem with this. And it's not the anime adaptation, it's probably the manga as well here, of just, you get it, Boruto's the main character, he is trying to prove a point to Ao here, but it's also a tough fight, so, they should be making an attempt. And sure, they have the scene where they show Sarada trying to jump in the fight, but she barely avoids the mirror drones. But still, if Boruto can do what he did, she can do roughly something similar, I suppose. She has jutsu, she has skills to get up there as well. Why couldn't we have seen something like that? But the way they showed Boruto taking out the mirror drones was really, really cool in my mind. I really liked it, because the mirror drones, like, weren't really focused on that much in the manga. They're just sort of there for like a second or two to kind of create a little bit of a dynamic, take Konohamaru out of the fight. They don't really show in the manga, how the mirror drones are necessarily like dealt with, outside of the fact that the finishing blow in the fight happens pretty soon after that. But I actually like the way they did this. This is one of the most dynamic sort of action scenes we've seen in a while here, of Boruto making heavy use of his jutsu here. Shadow clones to propel himself into the air. He's putting paper bombs on all of these things. She's jumping from drone to drone. Really dynamic stuff, and I thought it was very, very cool. But I do feel that taking out the mirror drones probably should have been something the whole team did and not just Boruto. Because this way you're dealing with more than just Ao. Taking out Ao's drones can be something the whole team can do. And again, it would have been a decent addition to the anime to do that, because again, the drones aren't much of a focus in the manga even. So that's that. And then we get into, I suppose, the final blow in a way of the fight. I like the way they did it here in the sense of, like, all the setup stuff was really nicely done, but for some reason, they changed the nature of the finishing blow of the fight. In the anime, what they did was that I was holding Boruto and has the whole speech about, on the train, I held a screwdriver to your neck. I threatened you. I would have killed you if you were my enemy. Looks like that's happening again, and I'm going to actually take you out this time. He goes over, recapping, the story again. giving you the whole idea. They bring his story together here. Yes, Katasuke repaired him after his injuries, but he felt like he was useless. Part of the reason he couldn't go back to his home nation, the Mist, was that, they're a shinobi village. He couldn't return not being able to be a shinobi. He felt like he was useless at this point. And even though he gained, of course, the ninja tool prosthetics, it was just prosthetics. And they get across here that it was Kara who met him after he could already walk around, who added the weaponry and the tools onto those prosthetics. So yes, he has a reason to kind of care for Katasuke and what he did for him. But for him as a shinobi, he wanted purpose in his life. He still wanted to be active. And Kara was actually the ones who gave him that option with all of the ninja tools. So that's why he is fighting in this case. So, it's one of those interesting things of like, maybe a little bit more communication on his part could have like helped in terms of, asking for weaponry to be applied to this, but Kara got to him first. And that's, part of the dynamic here. But the twist in all of this is that another clever shadow clone use here from Boruto. He sends them in one after the other to face Ao. And then it seems like the last clone comes in because it's the Boruto that has the absorption gauntlet on. And we get the explanation that, if you're not the fanciest user of shadow clones, you can't typically copy something that complicated on your clone. And he just, basically takes out Boruto. The clone pops and the gauntlet falls away, revealing that there was another shadow clone and it's Boruto hiding in the rubble of, all the mirror drone attacks. And he charges at Ao, who's like wide open at this point because he's obviously been drained from what's happened before and the fight has gone on for quite a while. So he has to take this hit, and in the anime, Boruto hits him with a Rasengan to destroy his arm. Just to destroy his basically ninja tool prosthetics, and it sends him flying into the wall. This is how the fight ends. In the manga, what he does is that he does a dual attack. He basically chops through Ao's prosthetics with the lightsaber, as you can see here, and then finishes the job with the Rasengan. I think the manga in this case fits the theme of the fight better because, again, it's how you use it. There was a multi-layered plan with the chakra saber. And it wasn't just to drain Ao, utilizing its bad effects. But again, Boruto said from the start, this is a powerful weapon, I could finish someone with this. And there was even the setup of like, the way I have to use this is only use it to deliver a finishing blow. Here it would be him using this tool correctly. He has done the research, the effort to get experience with this weapon so he knows how to use it effectively. Ao did not use the chakra saber effectively. Boruto does and correctly uses this as a way to effortlessly get through Ao's durable prosthetics to open the path for his Rasengan to do maximum damage. It was basically perfect, amazing scene just because, there's a cool factor to the chakra saber. Why wasn't it here? Now, I'm kind of wondering, is there some sort of an issue with regards to, in an animation, it being on TV, with showing something chopping through an arm? Even if it's not like a normal arm, a flesh arm, is there a problem with them chopping through like a prosthetic like this, even if it's a mechanical part? I'm not sure. I don't get why it necessarily would be, because it's made abundantly clear Ao has prosthetics in these limbs that are being cut through. So I don't necessarily see what the problem is. But it was also interesting, even the Rasengan, they didn't really show it. They didn't show like the impact. Like they made it clear enough, just like, okay, he's clearly hit him, but they're going really up close on the faces here. and like the arm is exploding sort of like off screen. Like you can just about see a few, bits of debris coming off it. And then afterwards is when you see, okay, this is the damage that was actually done. So I'm wondering, have they maybe left themselves an opening here to, like, maybe when the Blu-ray comes out covering these episodes, if they might accurately adapt this, or what's going on here. I just thought it was a little plain to just do the standard Rasengan finish, because it's very default for like Naruto and Boruto. The uniqueness of the finish of this fight was definitely that he used the Chakra Saber in combination with Rasengan, which was, to me, finishing like all of the arcs. It was showing how this is how you use tools effectively. It was showing how you can use ninja tools and jutsu together. And for Boruto, that's a very significant thing. A ninja tool he really likes, he's getting to utilize it effectively in combat. So it fit like everything that you needed, but for some reason they took it away here. It's not a major problem now, I suppose, but it's the one criticism you have about this episode, definitely. But yeah, the conversation afterwards, our little talk no jutsu kind of thing here, I like it because it's just bringing it full circle of just, you became a tool for the Kara, and you didn't realize that, if you just, given it some time, like you could have gone down a different path. You could have become what Boruto kind of is here. Use what jutsu you have and augment that with the use of ninja tools. Like that could have happened. You didn't need to go to Kara and abandon being a shinobi to be used like this. So, the character dynamic of Ao and Boruto did very nicely come full circle. And I did really like that. You have Ao sort of continuing to criticize Boruto, like father, like son, showing mercy to an enemy. The significance of the screwdriver of, like, he points it at Ao to threaten him just to reverse the situation, but then he leaves it next to him and, like, here it is, repair your limbs. That's a really, really nice dynamic, cutting back to the whole dynamic in the first place. You were saved and you were given the ability to live, basically, because of prosthetics. I'm going to let you repair them. That's a nice moment, right as Kashin Koji arrives. And this is a significant thing of, like, they obviously felt that Ao would be enough to retrieve the vessel, but now they've seen that he's not. So Kashin Koji has overseen this. He's here. Is he going to get the vessel back? Like, Kashin Koji's motivations are quite interesting because, again, throughout this arc we have been setting up the idea that someone in Kara betrayed them to create this situation where the vessel is not under control of Kara anymore. And the ones they're suspicious of are Kashin Koji and Boro. So Kashin Koji is here, seemingly assisting with trying to get the vessel back, and is now seemingly planning to kill Ao because of his failure. So we'll see what happens next. The preview gets across there's going to be some sort of a fight. Who is this Kashin Koji? And why is he summoning toads? Interesting things. Going to be interesting to see what anime-only Boruto fans think of that. Because this is really our first chance to properly get to see what Kashin Koji is actually, like, capable of. So, yeah. Overall, very, very positive, but quite notably, they didn't do the finishing blow of this fight the same way as the manga, and I think that takes away quite a bit from just thematically everything going on. That's basically what I wanted to say. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this episode, what you had to say about it. But that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.